Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into a fundamental shift happening in our society, and it's all about how we care for our elders. As our traditional ways of doing things start to feel the strain, some new, really interesting community-focused ideas are starting to pop up. So let's just start with a question. It's a pretty simple one on the surface, but it's a real challenge that millions of us are grappling with. And the answer, well, the answer tells us a whole lot about where we are right now with elder care. And what the survey data shows is, well, it's kind of fascinating. We're not really turning to professional services. Instead, the vast majority of us are relying on this informal, almost ad hoc network of friends and family. It's become this default patchwork system for millions of people.
And, this reliance on friends and neighbors, it really points to a much bigger issue. The old-school models for elder care are being stretched to their absolute breaking point, and it's creating this challenging new reality for families just about everywhere.
Because here's the thing, there's been a huge shift in mindset. For today's seniors, moving into some kind of facility, that's not seen as an upgrade anymore. I mean, after you've lived an entire life of independence, it feels like a major step backward, a huge loss of your own autonomy.
Okay, so why is this happening? Why are the old ways just not cutting it anymore? Well, when you look at the numbers, they tell a really stark story. It's a story of growing isolation and, honestly, a completely escalating demand for care.
What we're seeing is this massive shift in thinking, right? We're moving away from that old model where all the pressure falls on just one or two family members or, it just gets outsourced to an institution. The new idea, the new paradigm, is all about personalized support right in your own home, preserving dignity by spreading out the responsibility.
So to really get this crisis, you have to start with one word: isolation. I mean, check this out. A staggering 58% of seniors are projected to be widowed by 2025. That means a huge portion of our elderly population is trying to navigate life without their main partner, their main support system.
And that feeling of isolation, it gets even worse when you realize this. A whopping 83% of seniors live by themselves. That traditional picture of, multiple generations living all together under one roof, it's really fading. Instead, so many of our seniors are alone and often pretty far from their family.
But this is the number that really blew me away. The demand for care isn't just creeping up. No way. It is exploding. Projections are showing a 225% jump in just 3 years in the number of seniors who are going to need some kind of help. The need is just completely outpacing our ability to provide.
All right, so if the whole system is creaking at the seams, what do we do? Where do we go from here? Well, the research points to a new way forward, a new framework that's really built on two powerful ideas designed to tackle this whole thing head-on. First up is this idea called the big family. And no, it's not about going back in time. It's actually a really modern way of thinking about care. The whole idea is to spread the responsibility across a wider network of relatives, so the burden doesn't just crush one person. Everyone can chip in with what they can, whether it's time, money, or just their expertise. And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the why behind all of this. The goal is to make sure that getting older doesn't automatically mean your quality of life goes down. It's all about preserving a person's dignity, their comfort, and their independence, right in the place that they call home. So you've got the big family, right? Well, the second idea takes that network and makes it even bigger. It's called the circle of care. And this one recognizes the absolutely vital role that people outside the family, friends, neighbors, folks in the community, can play. They might not be the ones providing direct care, but they can be these crucial links, connecting seniors who might be isolated with the info and the services they desperately need. And what's so cool about all this is that it's not just some nice idea on paper. The data shows these big families and circles of care, they're already out there. They're already happening informally. The real challenge is just figuring out how to recognize them and, support them. Just take a look at this. The survey data gives us this amazing snapshot of what an average big family actually looks like. It's not just, one senior and their child. We're seeing multiple generations all involved. The seniors themselves, their adult children, and even their grandchildren, all part of this one big interconnected support team. Okay, so we know these networks exist, but what actually kicks them into gear? Research has found 3 key life events that act as triggers: a sudden trip to the hospital, the death of a spouse, or that really tough moment when a family's own resources, financial or emotional, are just completely tapped out. These are the critical moments when people are finally open to reaching out for help. And in those critical moments, when that trigger gets pulled, who are people calling?
Well, this chart basically shows that circle of care springing right into action. The first calls go out to emergency services and close relatives, and then right after that, to the family doctor. This is that immediate trusted circle that people lean on when a crisis hits.
All right, so we get the concepts, right? The big family, the circle of care, that's awesome. But knowing about them is just step one. To really build a better system, we have to move from just having good ideas to putting them into action with data-driven policy and real-world tools.
And to do that, to make these ideas work in the real world, we've got to answer some really basic but super important questions. Like, what's the actual size of a big family? How does information and responsibility flow inside of it? And the big one, what are the economics of this whole distributed care model? It's only with that kind of data that we can build systems that actually work for people.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. Because this isn't just some abstract policy problem we're talking about. It's deeply personal. It's something that will touch every single one of us. So as we all try to figure this out, it's worth asking yourself, who makes up your circle of care? And maybe, just as important, who out there might need you to be in theirs?